This was a morning unlike any other. This was Veterans Day. An older man passed quietly through the cool morning haze, slower than the rest, almost invisible to those around him. People noticed the faded brown hat, the deliberate steps, the time-worn skin, and assumed they understood. But they didn't. Not the missions buried in secrecy. Not the lives saved that never made it into the history books. Not the letters written each year to ghosts only he remembered. This was more than a gate routine. This was a moment soaked in reverence. Not because he sought applause, but because honor, true honor, never shouts. At the front gate of Fort Bellingham, morning sunlight filtered down in golden streaks, throwing long shadows across the pavement. The checkpoint booth sat in a tranquil hush, the American flag fluttering above. Inside, the stillness was cut by the sound of a young officer laughing. Harold Gaines, 82, walked toward the gate. His posture remained ramrod straight despite his years. His hands, spotted with age, gripped a cane in one and a sealed envelope in the other. He wore clean khakis, a pressed wool jacket, and a weathered brown fedora that cast shadows over his deep-set, steady eyes. "Good morning," he said softly, handing over an ID that had long since faded from military records. His voice was calm, sure. "I'm here for the memorial." Lieutenant Jacob Marin, 27, took the ID between two fingers like it was something unsanitary. He snorted. "This expired in 1991. Come on, sir. If you're even still a sir, you can't just walk onto base with something that looks like a souvenir." Harold said nothing, but held Marin's gaze. Waiting, Sergeant Lila Pritchard leaned out of the booth, sipping her coffee. "Let me guess. Decorated vet with a good story and a relic from the Cold War." Chuckles rippled through the booth. Harold reached out for his ID. No protest, no indignation. Just grace. He nodded once and turned, walking slowly back toward the parking lot. Private Miguel Duarte leaned against the wall inside the booth, arms folded. He didn't laugh, didn't smirk. He just watched. Something in the old man's walk tugged at a buried instinct. "That didn't feel right," Duarte muttered. Marin grinned. "You think he was legit? That ID could have survived a flood in Nam." Pritchard smirked. "Looked like he taught Chuck Norris everything he knows." More laughter. Duarte didn't join in. He watched Harold sit on a bench beneath a tree. He removed his hat and laid it in his lap. Still, he didn't look back. Duarte thought of his grandfather. Fought in Korea. Spoke of it only when pressed, voice low and haunted. The old man under the tree reminded him of that same quiet burden. "This doesn't sit right," Duarte murmured. "Say something?" Marin asked, tossing the ID in a bag marked invalid. Duarte didn't answer. He stepped outside, phone in hand. The cane caught the light, revealing a faint Marine Corps insignia etched into the polished wood. Not decoration, authentic. Duarte called his cousin Maria, a civilian analyst in D.C. "Can you run a name?" Quietly. "Harold Gaines. Likely Marine Corps. Vietnam era. Maybe earlier." Back inside, the booth still buzzed with amusement. Outside, Harold remained in still silence. Duarte stayed close. Elsewhere on base, the story began to spread. Janine Holloway stirred oatmeal in the mess hall when she overheard the guards. Old man tried to walk on with a fake ID. Marin shut him down. She stopped. What did he look like? Old. Black. Brown hat. Her heart thudded. Soft felt. Yeah. She set the spoon down, staring into space. 1983. Fuel depot fire. Everyone ran but one man. Carried 3 others out. Didn't say a word. Wore a hat like that. You think it's him? I never got his name. But I remember his eyes. Back at the checkpoint, Duarte's phone rang. "Maria?" She sounded breathless. "Harold Gaines? He's real. Decorated sergeant major. Special ops. Led Operation Cast Line in 71. Still classified. Current clearance under Directive 117B. He's on an internal watch list." Duarte's spine stiffened. "He's sitting under a tree. You need to get your CO now." Before Duarte could respond, a young comms officer who'd overheard Holloway's story snapped a picture of Harold and posted it to the base forum. "Does anyone recognize this vet? Denied entry this morning. Holloway says he saved lives in '83. The image, Harold, hat in lap, head high, spread like fire. Inside the security office, the phone rang. Duarte answered. Private Duarte speaking. This is General Margot Duval from Special Operations Legacy Command. Put your ranking officer on the line. Now. Speakerphone. Marin stepped up, cocky grin in place. This is Lieutenant Marin. You turned away Sergeant Major Harold Gaines. The air in the room thickened. Ma'am, I didn't. You mocked a man with service record longer than your life. He led Black Ops operations under presidential directive. His clearance is permanent. The room fell silent. A moment later, an SUV rolled up. Out stepped Colonel Royce Ellison, flanked by two decorated officers. Where is Sergeant Major Gaines? Marin pointed, face pale. Ellison marched straight to the tree. Harold stood slowly. Ellison saluted. Harold returned it. This way, Sergeant Major. Orders followed. Prepare honors protocol. Within 15 minutes, Fort Bellingham transformed. Dress uniforms emerged. Medals fixed. An honor corridor formed from the gate to the memorial courtyard. Officers, cadets, janitors, nurses, everyone. Harold walked unescorted, cane tucked under one arm, envelope still sealed. He passed Marin and Pritchard without a glance. Ellison stopped. The ID he carried? It pings DC once a year. Today? That's how we know he's alive. Marin blinked. We track him. We honor him, quietly. Because Harold Gaines never asked for attention. Only remembrance. At the memorial wall, Harold stepped forward alone. He placed the envelope at the base. Then knelt. Not from weakness, but reverence. His fingers traced 21 names etched in stone. Names only he remembered. I've written to them every year, he said quietly. Told their families who they were. Ellison stepped forward. We've been delivering those letters. Harold's eyes widened. Some families framed them. Others read them at gatherings. Harold closed his eyes, lips pressed tight, the back. Marin saluted. Harold met his gaze. I'm sorry. You saw a man. Not what he carried. I see now. Harold turned and walked through the corridor of respect. He didn't need words. His presence was enough. That afternoon, Fort Bellingham gathered. Over 200 stood in solemn silence. Colonel Ellison introduced him simply. You don't meet history. You host it. Harold took the stage, hat in hand. I'm no hero, he began. Just a man who kept his promises. Real honor? It's in how you treat a stranger. Applause followed, quiet and reverent. Marin approached after. I failed you. You failed yourself. But you can still choose who you'll be. Later that week, a plaque was mounted. The Harold Gaines Gate. For the quiet valor we nearly missed. Beneath. Honor endures even when credentials expire. Every year after, an SUV arrived. Every year, Harold returned to kneel, leave a letter, whisper the names. No speeches. No fanfare. Just legacy. When he passed at 89, there were no headlines. Only an envelope on his desk. For the ones I couldn't save. Inside, honor doesn't fade. It waits. Don't stop doing right, especially when no one's watching. Today, every new recruit hears the story, not of a man who demanded respect, but one who carried it, because some warriors leave medals. Others leave echoes, and the rarest few, like Harold Gaines, leave a path. To follow. In silence. And with dignity.